All right, I'm going to do this intro. Hey, everybody, welcome to an episode of Not For Nothing. I am at Hope Gallery, and a good friend, a new good friend, I should say.
New friend.
You've done a guest spot here before. Why don't you let everybody know who you are and where you're from?
All right. I am Dana Morse. I'm from Newport, Vermont, originally. I moved down to Massachusetts about 7 years ago. I was working in Derry, New Hampshire, and then I went to Pleasure and Pain in Taunton. And I was there for about 7 years, and now I'm down in Rhode Island.
When did you start tattooing, I should say?
Legally, when I was 18. I actually graduated high school on my 18th birthday. I started tattooing the next day. I started my apprenticeship the next day.
And this was in Vermont?
Yeah.
And how long did you work in Vermont for?
A while. Was it like 8-9 years at least?
Was it a problem?
I had a couple shops up there. I ended up getting rid of those. It was just, there's nobody up there. It's all just farmland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nobody has any extra cash. It's just not the same as tattooing down closer to the city, for sure.
Oh, okay. I've never been up to Vermont. Did you have a proper apprenticeship up there?
I did, actually, under Bruce Washburn.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that showed me your work.
Oh, for real? Okay, cool. Nice. That's very cool. And what year did you start again?
It was 2008.
So it was well after Massachusetts had opened up and everything else. It was pretty much like the regular time for that area. I was up in New Hampshire up until the end of 2002, I think it was. Okay. So what made you make the move from Vermont? Was it just getting into a better situation?
Yeah, I think I needed a change of scene. I felt like my art was getting stale. The tattooing, everything up there, the whole situation just felt real stale. There's not much happening. Nothing was growing. Nothing was getting bigger. And I was watching everybody that I was looking up to just kept getting better and better and bigger. And I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
I gotta try different waters and see what I can find.
Were you getting heavily tattooed at that point, or were you pretty much just like
pretty tattooed? Yeah.
But mainly from locals up that way, or you were traveling at all?
Yeah, and then a lot of it's actually buried.
I was going to say it's all blocked out now.
It didn't look too different than this arm, to be honest with you.
Oh, for real? So it was just a bunch of piecemeal
mess.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, man. Like when I lived up in New Hampshire for the short time, and everybody who came up from Massachusetts, a lot of the cats that came up were just that. It was all a lot of small time pieces.
I think that's just what tattooing was at the time.
Yeah. I think with working with Corey Kruger and then making my way up there after having made a name for myself in early 2000, it was a great attraction. People were all about coming up from Massachusetts and stuff to get tattooed by us. Plus, at that time, it hadn't legalized in Massachusetts.
Yeah, they were pretty late to that.
Yeah, and we were really lucky to be able to get to get those people to make the trip, because at that point you had the borders of Vermont, the borders of New Hampshire. I mean, there were like 8 shops right over the fucking border in New Hampshire. Yeah. Rhode Island was big back then. The parts of Connecticut on the borders were really, really popular.
Yeah, and I was watching a lot of it happen online, obviously.
Right.
There's nobody up there that I could talk to about it, but I saw a lot of traditional, and I think that's where I ended up kind of veering off into when I first started, for sure.
Right. So the shop when you worked in, it was a pretty straight up, no bullshit shop, like coil machines. Uber traditional.
Yeah. Setting up the needle jig, soldering needles every morning.
Yeah. It's funny. I was just doing a thing in Ohio, and they set up a whole needle station for people to be able to fuck around with it. And Eric Anklin was showing people how to make needles. The funny thing was, like, talking to everybody at that event, the big takeaway was, you don't want to use coils. You don't want to fucking deal with the fucking weight. You don't want to have to make your own needles.
When you think about like how much we had to do back then compared to now, it's like I forgot more shit than most people are going to have to learn to start tattooing now, which is pretty crazy. I don't know.
And the guy you apprenticed under was a pretty straight up, no bullshit, like, you need to do it this way. This is the way it's done.
Yeah, he was pretty strict. Super nice guy, though. Still one of my favorite people. I don't know.
And the shop's still up there and stuff?
Yeah, he's still going. He's got, I think, 3 or 4 people working for him still.
Nice.
One of the guys I apprenticed with, he went off and he opened his own shop not too far from up there where he is already.
So when you worked in Vermont in that one shop, before you made the move, like, what would you say you were kind of cutting your teeth on? Was it flash off the walls, or because this is at the time where social media started to get popular? It was all Cherry Creek back then. Yeah. So
a whole lot of Cherry Creek. I think I actually copied one of your designs when I was an apprentice. My mentor gave me shit about it. I bought your book.
Well, I was pretty fortunate. A lot of my flash was in a lot of shops back then, and the books were were more popular then than they are now, obviously. You know what I mean? Most of what I hear from people is like, yeah, man, my mentor gave me your book back in the late 2000s. So, when you so you only worked in the one shop in Vermont. When you came to Massachusetts, how many shops did you work in? You worked in a couple.
So I actually worked at a few shops up in Vermont. One of them, when I left that shop, the shop I apprenticed at, I went to another shop, and it was run by bikers, Hells Angels, and I'd be in the middle of a tattoo. It was the only tattoo I had during the week. He'd walk in. The owner would be like, everybody out, we have a meeting. And he'd kick me and my client out halfway through. So I was like, I couldn't stay there. And I wouldn't open my own shop in Johnson, Vermont. Got rid of that one, opened in Newport, Vermont, and then I moved down.
Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you were up there for, you said 7-8 years?
Yeah.
That's a long stint in a small
And it just
town.
felt like no matter where I was going, it just wasn't happening the way it was supposed to, I feel like.
Now, how much different was it making the trip from making the change from Vermont to Massachusetts? Because Massachusetts back then was still pretty loosey-goosey. There was a handful of people opening up. Like, by that point, I think Corey Kruger was down in like Fitchburg or Worcester or something like that.
Yeah, so I had went from Vermont to New Hampshire. I was living in Massachusetts, but I was working in New Hampshire at Scorpion Tattooing in Derry. And that was a pretty cool thing. I had never made money like that tattooing until I went down there.
Oh, really?
And then I was like, this is so much better than being up in the sticks.
Yeah.
And so I went further south. Went down to Massachusetts, And it
well,
got even better.
It's true. The closer you get to certain cities, you're dealing with more in the way of congestion as far as the amount of shops.
And also, like, I feel like rural areas like that, I don't know if maybe it was just because it was back then or just because it was a small town, but tattoos were not as acceptable as they are down here either.
Right. Well, I think the second you get, when you go, I was always blown away by Portsmouth, New Hampshire, which to me is not rural and it's kind of touristy.
Yeah.
But I was amazed at how shitted up the locals were with tattoos, and now so more than ever. But there was a big, I don't want to say it was a punk rock thing, but it was a big, LGBTQ before that was a thing.
Gotcha.
Group of people up there, or like just people who lived up there. But the amount of heavily tattooed people, like hands and necks and everything else, like you were just like,
where does this
New
come
Hampshire.
from?
Yeah, exactly. You don't expect that.
I felt that when I went to New Hampshire because it really wasn't too different from Vermont, but it was a lot busier.
Yeah, well, I think it's because of the tourist seasons too. I think when you're going up 95 and if you're going through, for me, what I would consider is when you're going through New Hampshire, there's a lot more things to stop on, especially if you're on the coast or whatever. Right. Do you still speak to the guys up in Vermont at all? Do you know how are they doing today? Like, so one of the things we all often say is because of how weird the industry is right now, the business is right now, that certain people in small towns are probably doing a lot better than some of the other
I feel
bigger
like
cities.
The guy I apprenticed under, he's doing pretty good. Like I said, he's got a few people working for him. The shop's bigger than it was when I was there, but the other guy that I was apprenticing with, he branched off and he opened his own place. But he's also like, he opened a gym and like all kinds of other shit. So I don't even know how much money he's making tattooing. He's just on all kinds of different business ventures. So.
Well, that's actually not a bad thing. I mean, if you think
he's
about
very
it,
smart.
Yeah, that's
he's
a
very
lot
smart.
I think I missed that. I think by a few years as far as the brains when it came into this business, because a lot of the guys that were generations before me, 1 or 2 generations before me, they were smart enough to invest in real estate, to have some kind of retirement, own several homes, like different types of businesses, like you're saying, like a gym and stuff like that, where I think with my generation, I won't say it's the start of the artist, but the fact of the matter is we were so concentrating on creating art and making a name for ourselves. And not so much making a name for ourselves, but just by creating a style that people would recognize. Of
course.
That you didn't think of anything else. Like even owning a shop. Like I never wanted to own a shop. It just kind of happened. Out of necessity.
Yeah, I feel like that's so common. It's hard to work for other people, especially in this industry. Everybody's so set in their ways.
Well, so you went, you did that. You went from owning a shop in Vermont to going to work for other people.
Working for other people, yeah.
How much of so for me it was difficult. Like when I went from,
but it's not like I hold myself to the same standard I did when I owned my own shop.
Right.
And I think that anybody I work for they see that, and I don't get it. Then I come and go as I please. I do what I want. I tattoo when I want. Never any issues.
And that's been all the shops that you've never had.
Pretty
have
much,
you ever had to keep like, you got to be, the shop's open from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock. You got to
in New Hampshire, it was like that. It was a little more structured like that. But I think at that time, when I had started, he had 3 other people working there. They all left within like a month when I first got there.
Was there a reason for it?
I didn't really ask, and I didn't want to get into it, but I was
Really?
just like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
Yeah.
You know? And then he took on a bunch of other apprentices, and I ended up teaching them. He was kind of retired, so he's only in the shop for like 3-4 hours a day.
Right.
So I'm like with all of his apprentices, and I was like, it got to the point where I was like, this isn't what I signed up for either.
And I think that's something that a lot of, one of the reasons I've never taken on an apprentice is mainly because I don't want the responsibility. Yeah. And the way I look at that is like, that's a two-way street. They're signing up to give you all their time, all their energy, and all their attention. You kind of have to do the same.
Yeah, you have to give it back.
But to have something like what you're saying, where you have 3 apprentices and you're the one taking, and the guy who works for you is the one taking care of them. But I am also of the opinion that if I brought somebody in here, I would like to think that everybody in here is going to give their 2 cents and help. It's, a village. It takes a village to raise a child. You know what I mean?
And as an apprentice, that's what you would also hope. As an owner and an apprentice, I feel like that's what you'd want to see. The whole shop coming together. This shop's only going to be as good as its weakest person. You know what I mean?
So when did you start seeing would you say, like you've worked in quite a few shops, when did you start seeing major changes in the types of people that were coming into the business? You know what I mean?
It changes. I don't know if it's because of the timeline or just the location, because I change locations so much that I feel like it's very different city to city or state to state. But I feel like probably about 10 years ago, I saw more kids coming out of art school. Yeah. I started tattooing because I barely fucking graduated high school. I didn't have any other options. You know what I mean? It's the only thing I'm
And there's still a lot of people that are in that same boat. So
yeah, and then you see these kids, like, they got trust funds, mommy and daddy's taking care of all their bills. They're coming out of art school, and they can just hit that apprenticeship so fucking hard because they don't have to worry about paying their bills. Right. They don't have to keep a second job, which is cool. Right. It's a good thing to see. The whole industry is growing. It's changing, not always in the best, but it is.
Definitely not always in the best. So
for the most part, though, I think this is probably the greatest time I've had tattooing. Yeah. You've been in a lot longer than I have.
So that's and you're right. So it's easy for me to shit on the last 10 years.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Because of how dramatic the changes have become.
Yeah.
But I'm also of the opinion that, you kind of got to roll with the punches and see where
it's going to change with or without you.
Yeah, exactly. Most certainly.
You're not stopping it.
Yeah. When did you, so your apprenticeship was pretty traditional. When did you, so I'm going to get into the style in which you work and how, but you rock most styles.
I do pretty much everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, now, do you think that comes from just the foundation of, because it is easy starting in the early 2000s to get caught up in with just doing what comes off the walls and not being creative at all.
Yeah, and I see that a lot still, actually. But it's not coming off the wall anymore. It's coming off Pinterest.
Yeah, it's coming off somebody's
Pinterest is the new flash wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. There's not much really changed other than that.
Right, exactly. But so were you bringing anything of your own? Like, so with me, I can say year one, like people would pick stuff off the wall. We had line drawings that we could work from. Right. We went in the back and we redraw all of our line drawings.
I did do a lot of flash, but I also consistently drew my own stuff as well.
Right.
And I still do. I'll still take out the watercolors and I'll get a nice flash sheet going.
Right.
Just for fun.
Just for shits and giggles, yeah.
But as far as doing everything, I don't know. I just kind of, if I admire this guy's work, he does Japanese, I'm going to go hang out with him. I'm going to go try to guest spot at a shop and see if I can pick his brain for a couple days, And it's every style. Like, I just move around trying to see what I can learn from him.
Now, when did you start traveling just for that? Like, so obviously you want to spend most of your time making money because that's where you're at. You're a tattooer. But when did it occur to you to actually start, maybe move on from magazines and social media to actually go out and start meeting people?
Also, probably about 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's when I got actually more serious about tattooing. Right. And refining myself as an artist, not just a tattooer. I think that's where the big change was.
Yeah, and I think that's, I think from the standpoint of like having to make a leap in your career, you kind of have to make that decision. You're either going to stay home, become the home down here and do whatever comes your way, or you're going to start stepping out.
But that's how you get stale
for yourself. Well, so yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it is easy. Even traveling, it's easy to get stale because if you're known for doing a particular style, it is really easy. I know it was for me because when you hit the road and people are just coming in, it's like, I want a girl's head on my hand. I want a girl's head on my hand. I want a girl's head. And before you know it, you go into a show and you're doing, I mean, I think the most hands I ever tattooed in a show was was something like 6 in a weekend.
That's crazy.
At
That's
shows,
actually
plus doing other stuff. Yeah. And it was one of those things. It was the same thing. And Jimmy Litwalk gave me shit. And he was just like, "Are you ever going to get bored of drawing the same fucking head every single fucking time?" And I'm like, whatever, dick. You know? So, I mean, have you ever found yourself in that position? Or have you been fortunate enough to always have enough people coming at you with different ideas?
I think I have enough people coming out with different ideas. I get bored easy. So if I get stuck, like, doing traditional for a week, by the end of the week, I'm like, I don't want to fucking do it. I don't even look at it, you know.
So it's not just a matter of like you're not doing a style just out of necessity. You're doing it because you want to get away from other things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
When did you make the move over from coil machines over to rotaries?
Well, I went back and forth quite a bit. To be honest with you, I tried probably a good handful rotaries before I settled on one that I actually liked. I think the first one I liked was Cheyenne.
That would have been like what, late 2000, like 2010, 2012?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, so it was pretty much right out. It was kind of straight out of the gate. It wasn't too long in.
It wasn't too far in. But I had gone back and forth quite a bit, and I hated rotaries. I hated them so much.
They were shit back then.
Yeah.
You know?
And now it's like, I don't want to touch coils.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to tune it every time I go to tattoo, man.
It's one of those things. So one of the things we kept talking about is like, if you don't know if you've never used a coil, then you don't know that things can be better. I mean, I get what you're saying about about coils.
It's a lot easier to not traumatize the skin with a coil machine. I feel like.
Oh, big time.
I mean, you have 2 sets of springs to stop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the rotary, it's going to finish its cycle every time,
no matter what.
Yeah.
And but that's what I think. That's where I think tattooers stopped relying upon the machine to do the work for them, and that their hands became the tool that controlled the machine.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And again, it's great that you can do that, but I think that you kind of cheat yourself when you're not actually paying attention to what you could also be doing with stuff.
I do think it's important that when you start tattooing, the first couple years you should have a coil machine.
Right.
Even if you don't use it every day, use it once in a while.
Now, have you ever apprenticed anybody, or?
I did, actually. I've had 3 up in Vermont.
Oh, you have? Oh, so way early in your career, too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you did say you helped apprentice people.
Yeah, that was in New Hampshire, but I did have my own before that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, shit. All right, but that's you're one of those guys.
Yeah, I didn't want to be. But there was nobody really tattooing in the area, and I needed help.
Well, and honestly, that's a better reason, because if you put word out,
there was
there's
room
just
to
nobody
grow
there.
up there. You know, it wasn't already oversaturated.
Right.
So it was fine.
Right.
Would I apprentice anybody nowadays? It's very unlikely.
Well, that's my next question.
Very,
Have
very
you apprenticed anybody recently?
No, and I don't see myself ever doing it, to be honest. It'd probably take someone pretty special to get an apprenticeship out of me.
Now, what was probably the worst experience you had? Like, so you dealt with bikers in Vermont.
Yep.
What about Massachusetts? Because parts of Massachusetts were pretty shit back then, too.
Yeah. I don't know. Taunton was pretty laid back. I mean, the city itself can be a little crazy, but where the shop was, it wasn't terrible. I haven't really had too many issues with, like, anything wild happening at the shop.
Too bad.
No, not really.
I'm kind of the same way.
I'm usually the most menacing person there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're not that. You're far from that menacing. So, so what was making you bounce from shop to shop to shop? Was it just boredom? Or
yeah.
You never left the shop because you had to leave a shop?
No, and I never really left on bad terms either.
It was all on good terms.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing for me, because if you came here and the first thing I asked you was how many shops have you worked in, and you told me like 9 shops, I'd be like, yeah, you can't come here.
I'm actually probably closer to 12.
That's insane. I remember a guy telling me, and again, this isn't about you, but I remember someone being like, I worked in 24 shops. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you got fired.
Yeah, you got fired.
For 24 fucking shops.
Yeah,
That's
no,
a big difference.
I never got fired. I always left on my own.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you could say that. It's like, hey man, I got 12 names that you can call, and they'll refer me, no problems.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever left on a bad term.
No, that's a good thing though. That's not a bad thing. No. When did you start doing like conventions and guest spots and stuff?
When I got to Massachusetts, actually. Before that, I never went to one. I think I went to one in New Hampshire, Live Free or Die, just to meet Lyle Tuttle.
Oh, the convention, yeah.
Tattooed me.
Oh, you got his name. Yeah. And then you worked around it too.
Hotel room. Yeah, I wasn't blacking that out.
Nice. So that was the first one you worked. Like, now, what was the experience like? So were you the guy who got caught up in like awards and bringing people to the convention, or are you still pretty much like, because like I said, for me,
I still will do that if it's a local show.
You'll bring people.
I'll bring, like, I'm actually taking her next weekend in Boston just to
attach
just
you
to
and
do
try
something
to
really
win
fun.
some awards.
Yeah.
So I personally have always found that weird.
But I book myself the rest of the weekend.
Right, you're not just doing her.
I'm not going to lose
getting,
money.
Yeah,
I'm going to make money, and I'm still going to take an award.
And you're still going to try to take an award home. So, well, that's cool. I mean, again, for me personally, it's always been kind of a weird thing because I never get caught up in the awards thing.
Yeah. I wouldn't bring anybody in to try to get like a, I don't know, like a smaller award, like a traditional award or a large color award.
It's going to be something.
It's going to be tattoo of the day.
Yeah, it's going to be something you could stand out for.
Exactly.
So, so when did you start actually trying to? So, the thing I noticed while you were here on the guest spot you did here was like your styles are, like I said, all over the place, but they're all like well centered in that particular style. Yeah. So like when you were here, you did uber traditional piece. Yep. You did some, dainty black and gray stuff. Yep. You did that the black and gray realism piece with all the Friday and not Friday, Addams Family stuff. That was Addams Family, right? Yeah. Yep. Is it out of necessity that you decided to do that, or is it like
it started out as a necessity
right
in the beginning? I mean, like I said, I was in the middle of nowhere. Tattoos were few and far between. I wasn't going to tell someone no just because I wasn't in the mood to do that style. Right.
Now, how is that affecting you now? Like where in the shop you're in now, because you work in a shop. We'll get to where you're at now, but you're working in a shop that really the guys are known for what they do. Yeah. I don't know if most of them do other stuff.
And I think honestly, that's what sets me apart from everybody that does work there.
This fact that you have your own voice, but you also
work, like I do many different styles, but you can still generally look at a tattoo and tell that I did it.
Which is what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I've often said if you do an uber trad American trad piece or an uber Japanese piece, there really shouldn't be much of a tell on who did the tattoo based on the fact that so you feel that you should
I don't know,
have...
man. Yeah, I know a handful of trad guys that I can always tell immediately.
Oh, really?
I can scroll through and I don't even have to look at the name.
Do you know any names off the top of your head that you would recommend? You would say, right?
Kyle McKenzie.
Okay.
He's a big one. Even his brother Jimmy, Jake Mio. I think it's his color palette.
Okay.
His traditional is a little bit more bubbly, I think, but I think that's also why I liked it.
Okay. Yeah, so you like the traditional that kind of stands out on its own a little bit. That's kind of how I've always felt about it. Like if I'm attracted to somebody, it's what that person brings to the style. Yeah. Like that's why I'm a huge fan of guys like Mike Dorsey. Like Dorsey's stuff is steeped in like tradition, but by the same token, he's just running with his own his own flair on stuff, and just the like he's retelling stories. Right. That's the same thing the Japanese did back in the day, but he's doing it with a modern flair. I think it's
is cool,
amazing.
I love it. Yeah, I like to see a new spin on old stuff. I don't know.
Nice. So, what made you move to now? So since you've moved to Rhode Island, you've only worked in one shop.
Right.
You're at Powerline.
Powerline. Yep.
Now, what made you make that move? Was it because of because that shop's popular as fuck? It's got Evans made a huge name for himself over the years.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he does some of the best color realism I've ever got to see in person.
There's a couple of really good color realism pieces.
Andy Large is really good too, and he's got Andre, this really cool neo trad.
Where is he from originally, Andre?
Russia.
He is Russian. Okay, I wasn't sure. So
yeah, he's a good kid.
Now, how many people are working there, and are you guys like how tight of a crew is it? Is it the kind of thing that you guys have the opportunity to sit down in each other's rooms and watch somebody else work or bounce ideas off one another?
There's 8 of us, I think, at the moment. And there's one big room downstairs that has 2 booths in it. And it's usually Evan and Andy in there. But if they're not there, usually we'll go down and me and DJ will sit in the room. That way we can just hang out, draw together, tattoo together.
Right.
Yeah. Bounce ideas off each other.
Nice.
But we're all very quick to just go. Like if I'm in the middle of a design and I have a question, I'll just go anybody's room, really. There's not anybody there that couldn't help me.
Now, how important do you think that is compared to when you were working, like, kind of solo? I mean, granted, it's many years later, but, like, how important do you think that relationship is with the guys you work with?
I think it's super important. Hence why I ended up selling my shops. I just didn't want to be alone anymore. Right. I wanted that energy. I wanted to be able to work with other artists that I looked up to as well,
I mean, you can You don't have to just end. It's not like I'm just asking you a question. You could continue the conversation. What are your thoughts on these guys that are like? Because I know a handful of people that have closed their private studios based on the fact that exactly what you said, they just don't want to work for themselves anymore. They kind of want the influx of other creatives around them. Like, have you seen what have you seen out by you guys? Like, have you seen a lot of that changing, or is it pretty much? I mean, because I think the difference between
I feel like all the private studios I see still have like 2 or 3 people in there,
right?
And you can always tell when they work at the same shop for some reason. They look alike, they dress alike, their work looks the fucking same.
I think but I think that's generational. I don't think it's necessarily. I think it's generational. I think a lot of what we're seeing. I think that's why there are just so many private studios, because a lot of these kids don't want to deal with talking to people. They don't want to deal with having to worry about a front. Like I don't know. I feel like even as a new tattooer, it's more important as a new tattooer to get out there and talk to the clients. You can sit at the front. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't know. I see too many people hiding. They should be out there putting the work in.
Well, again, I think that's a very good way to put it. I mean,
it's what it is, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you can't do this job and have social anxiety. It doesn't work.
Not even a little bit.
No.
I think that's the one thing.
You're not getting far.
I mean, for me personally, I started traveling to get over anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just a matter of like wanting to make a name for myself. It was like, I got to get the fuck out of New York and see the rest of the fucking world, see the rest of the country, because there's so much out there. There's so many amazing, exactly. But I think a lot of people nowadays, like, even when they go to conventions, like when we used to go to shows, it was a fucking thing. Yeah. And I don't know if you look at it from the same perspective. But
I do. There's certain shows that I love to go to, not because it's busy, not because I'm making a bunch of money, just the people that are going to hang out with.
Exactly.
It's just a good crew. I know who's going to be there because we've been the same people for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, and I look forward to it.
How often you go to shows by yourself? Like you're solo, you roll up and...
Not often, although I am... This coming weekend, going to Boston by myself. I'll be the only one from the shop doing that one. Okay. But I do know everybody there. I know the promoter, Nathan. I know pretty much everybody that's going to be tattooing.
So you're not going to like a completely foreign place,
right?
Yeah, there's nothing more stressful than that.
Yeah.
Like going, especially when you go to a foreign country.
I went to New Zealand by myself.
Oh,
so tattooed out there. That was
really
pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a trip.
Now, what made you? Did you do the convention there, or did you just do a guest spot?
Nah, I just did a guest spot.
Now, how'd you set that up?
I was dating somebody out there at the time. Okay.
Like so many other tattooers. So, what was your impression? Like my first trip to Australia, and this was back in 2000, and it was a different landscape back then. Like I remember just being like, "What the fuck?" Was it 2000? It might have been 2000. It might have been 2002. It was 2002, I think. And I remember going there and being like it was so backwards compared to what was happening in the United States. And then a year later, like Facebook and or MySpace became a big fucking thing. MySpace. And I went back a year later, and it was like a different landscape. Like how quickly everybody had grown.
Yeah.
Because it went from magazines, which they got 6 months or a year and a half later, to instantaneous, and you saw how they just sopped it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
Did you see any? Because it was later on for you, so maybe when you went there, it was already
this is only like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to say from that perspective. Yeah, to see that major change in the early 2000s was kind of like it blew my fucking mind, because I remember looking in like the first in Europe was in '97. And I remember just being blown away by artists like Philip Blue and Mick and fucking Klaus and fucking Tintin and Robert Hernandez, and seeing all those guys, which we only ever saw in the magazines.
Right.
But to see them in person was like, holy fucking shit.
That's how I felt the first time you let me come down here, bro.
What, coming here?
I was like, holy shit, it's Joe.
Oh, whatever, dude. You reached out to me.
I know.
And not for nothing, good. I wish more people were like you, because I think that's one of the biggest...
I do find that it's a great community, the tattoo community.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, it's everything you're going to find assholes. But for the most part, I feel like everybody's pretty welcoming. Yeah. Everybody's very open.
I think a lot of people in the business are going to... You'd like to think are going to treat you the way you treat them. There are genuine douchebags that are looking to get their dick stroked and just expect...
I've done guest spots at a shop where I went in, the owner unlocked the door, he fucking left. Call me when you're done.
Yeah,
that was it.
That's happened to me too.
I was
Dude,
like,
I've had
fucking could have stayed home for this.
Yeah, I've had people hand me the key, and I went.
That's crazy.
I didn't come here for this, man. I came here
you
to
just met
hang.
me 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, dude, my apprenticeship was like that. I remember him calling me down after he had known me off and on for about a year, but he didn't know me.
Right.
And he was like, "You got to come down here. We're going to talk about this." And he offered me the apprenticeship for third or fourth time, and I'm like, "All right, cool, I'll take it." And he hands me the keys, gives me the fucking alarm code, and says, "Be here at fucking 10:30 tomorrow morning."
Shit.
I'm like, motherfucker, first of all, I live 45 minutes from here. You barely know my last fucking name. This is before cell phones. This is like, you literally have to call a landline, and you only had my work number. So it's not like you could even call me at home. I'm like, motherfucker, I could come in here tonight, empty this bitch out, and you wouldn't even know where to find me, you know?
That's crazy.
But again, I don't think it was that he was trusting. I just think he was ignorant to the fact that anybody would rip him off.
Right.
I think because he looked at himself as a tattooer, but he's a dork. I mean, he wasn't like a cool guy tattooer. He was a dork. But yeah, I was blown away by that. And same thing with guest spots. Like, to me, if you're not enjoying the group, like last time you were here, I was a little upset. We only went out the one time.
True.
And I said,
still had a great time.
Oh, I'm glad you. And to be honest with you, because I look at it from the standpoint of being a host, that's an important thing. Like, I want you to come out and enjoy the time you're here, not just come here and make money.
Right.
And again, by the same token, we've had people here that literally put themselves in a fucking room. We didn't see them at all. Like, they even took meals in their fucking room. Then they left, and I'm like, one of the guys who invited the guest, I was like, "Hey, do me a favor, don't ever ask that motherfucker here again."
Yeah, that's weird.
Because if you're not gonna try to,
like, what's the point in having a guest spot then? Like,
exactly,
why would you even leave your house?
Because you had a couple of clients here, and you could say you worked in the shop. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, that's strange.
Because I've worked in pretty big shops, and I said I would never go back there, and they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because it sucked."
Yeah,
sometimes
like, it just does.
The person who owned the shop, who I wanted to be there with, was there 2 hours before me. You know, I mean, I'm getting there at 11 o'clock in the morning. They're there at like 9 o'clock, and then they're fucked off by like 2. Oh, dude, we got a guy here. 8. He works 8 to 12. And his clients.
Who the fuck wants to get tattooed at 8 in the morning?
Believe it or not, what I've come to realize.
I'm not even through my first cup of coffee yet.
I agree. I'm wholeheartedly like.
That's wild.
What's your okay? This is a good question. What is your? Do you have a morning routine? Like, are you like typical tattooer where you go to the same place for breakfast, you go to the same place for coffee? Like, do you have a routine that you do?
Not really.
I just
wake up, hang out with my dog for like 20 minutes, and then I go get coffee and head it to work. I get there about an hour and a half early, and I draw to get ready for the day.
So that's kind of your routine then.
I guess that's my routine.
So most of your drawings are done like the day of.
The day
say
of, usually.
Okay.
Sometimes
even
if it's
like big projects.
No. If it's a big project, I'll spend like a good couple weeks before just kind of poking around at it.
Okay.
But I am a fucking huge procrastinator. So yeah.
I think most tattooers are.
I think you're right.
I know for me personally, if I were like Europe tattoo is a perfect example tomorrow. If I drew that 3 weeks ago, there'd be 4 fucking versions of that by tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I will admit I was stressed having to do it because of who. I don't want to say who you are, but what you are. Like, you're a great tattooer.
Yeah, of course.
And like even 30 years in, I'm still stressed about tattooing tattooers. You know what I mean? Always has been.
I'm still the same.
But by the same token, all I did was have that floating around the back of my fucking mind, and I'm like, okay, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I go cartoony? Do I more realistic? Do I go neotrad? And I'm like, all I kept thinking is, you work with 1 or 2 amazing neotrad guys. Why the fuck are you coming to get a Medusa from me?
I wanted a Joe Capobianco tattoo. That's what I wanted.
I hope what you saw was
that's exactly what I wanted, man. Cool, I want people to look at it when it's done, and they already know who did it too.
Yeah.
That's
so for me, it's the kind of thing where I will start maybe collecting like that. I started collecting reference for probably right after you sent me pictures of your gal, and that's when I was like, okay. But then what kills me, no offense, I hate straight fucking head-on shots. I fucking hate it because to me it lacks any kind of dynamic, and AI is notorious for every head-on fucking shot. You know, for me I always like the 3/4 down angle, up angle, whatever. Yeah. But it was one of those things where I'm like, all right, this is what you got, make it fucking work. But I didn't start doing that until I did some quick little shitty thumbnails yesterday. Yeah. And then it was this morning that I really sat down and started to really kind of hammer away at it.
I'm excited about it.
I'm glad. But so yeah, for the most part, with the exception of really big pieces, you're pretty much in the shop doing stuff. Do you have a setup like a studio at home that you work with, or no?
I do actually. I have a drawing table, everything at the house. Although I usually end up just sitting on the couch, watching Family Guy or something.
So yeah, I was gonna say that's been the joy and the curse of the iPad.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you could do it anywhere, but a lot of the stuff like the prints you left me were all watercolor.
Yeah, those were on paper.
So I'm sure not doing that on the.
No, I might rough sketch the idea out on Procreate. Just it's gonna save me paper. It's gonna save me a little bit of time. But once I get the general idea down, I'll go tighten it up on the paper and then get the line drawing.
Okay. Now the traditional stuff you're doing, you're not doing your typical like late 80s, early 90s traditional. You're doing a little bit more like old world kind of traditional. I'm not even sure what you call it because I'm not really that
almost.
savvy.
I feel like it has like a kind of, I don't know. I think I just stick to my color palette when I do traditional, and I know how I draw traditional. I try to keep the geometric shapes where they're supposed to be. I don't know.
Are there any particular old school traditional tattooers that you could name off the top of your head that are big inspirations for you? They don't have to be tattooing anymore, but like the Flash itself.
Not really.
Oh, really? It's just kind of like... Because, I mean, for me personally, I'd be hard-pressed.
I got more into traditional when I started working with Jeff Bird. I don't know if you know who that is, but he owns Pleasure and Paint up in Taunton, Massachusetts, and he's super traditional. And I met him in New Hampshire, and I loved his work. And I actually went there and booked an appointment with him just so I could talk to him. A couple months later, he's calling me and telling me he's got an opening, and I was like, I'll take it.
Nice, good for you.
Yeah.
That's cool. See, that's the thing I think that a lot of people nowadays don't realize, that it takes that foot in the door sometimes to get you to the next level. You got to start building
the relationship, for sure.
I mean, that's one of the things I think a lot of kids nowadays don't want to consider because, I think a lot of people want to be recognized for who they are and what they do.
Right.
Which I think is, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to sound like a total fucking hypocrite because that's how I came up. Because at that time, you did something, it got recognized in the magazine, and you got asked to be part of it.
Right.
I think the difference nowadays is like, I guess there are still people out there that you can look at and just be like, holy shit, look at this person's work.
Yeah.
I think it's harder now in the last 10 years, I'd say, where everybody's the same.
It definitely can feel that way, but I feel like because it's oversaturated, it feels that way.
Yeah.
There are people that stand out. In every style, I can pick out a couple to tell you who they are before I look at the name. You know what I mean? You just look at their work and you can tell who it is. There's still people like that. Yeah. They're out there. But it's so oversaturated, they're hard to find.
I think the people that I have an easier time discovering or recognizing are not so much the color realism guys. And I think what's fucked me up personally, as far as recognizing that, is AI.
Yeah.
Is the fact that a lot of the people are all using this, are all pulling from the same. They're not pulling from the same reference.
Well, that's okay. So when I'm getting ready to do like a big traditional tattoo, I'm gonna spend a lot more time drawing that than if somebody comes at me with like a big realism project.
Right.
Because that's pulling references using AI. Maybe I'll go in and fuck with the light source and get some brushing in there with the iPad, but for the most part, it's not that much work.
I was gonna say
tattooing is hard.
I remember talking to
but getting it ready is not hard.
Right. I remember talking to Benjamin Lucas about that because I didn't realize that when he first came on the scene, he was doing more in the way of new school stuff, more original stuff. And I remember running into him in Spain. It was Barcelona, actually. We were working next door and whatever. And I had seen a couple of tattoos that he had done that he had in his book that were straight up not what he's known for, not that realism, black and gray, painterly color stuff. And I said to him, I was like, dude, why the fuck aren't you doing this anymore? He's like, oh, fuck that. And I'm like, what do you mean, fuck that? Like, dude, this stuff's amazing. He goes,
the prep time.
This stuff is so much easier.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, how is it easier? And he goes, dude, I just pull reference, I put it together, and I fucking tattoo it. Man. And I was like, I had to take a step back and just be like, A, duh. Yeah. How did you not recognize that? And B, like, it kind of bummed me the fuck out. Because I'm just like, so is every fucking realism guy? Like, they're just cutting corners and saying, fuck it, you know?
Like I said, it's harder to tattoo, easier to prepare for. But then there's some things that are harder to prepare for, easier to tattoo.
I think the artists that I recognized back then that were doing amazing, horrible tattoos, but amazing layouts were like guys like Arlo.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't until, like, when you saw the original piece, you went, "Oh my god, that's such a great layout, and it's so well designed," and blah blah blah. And then you saw the tattoo, and it was dog shit. And I shouldn't say it; it's not everything, but it's a lot of his stuff that I've seen. Gotcha. But from a designer standpoint, I mean, he's got a real eye for it. I think that was another layer of tattooer that came down the pipe that really kind of they gave themselves a foothold in the business. Not so much because of what they were capable of doing with a machine, but what they were capable of doing in Photoshop or whatever electronic thing that they were working with, where they could put this stuff together and really make a fucking dramatic image.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I think what the bummer of it is everybody's doing that now. Yeah. So it's not like anybody stands out as like, oh my god, look at this image.
That's why I like to mash up styles. Like I'll mix trad with black and gray realism. I just think that looks pretty cool.
Well, there's a couple of guys.
The two, yeah.
Who like
Yogi Barrett?
I was going to say. I was going to ask like, who are some of your guys?
He's the first guy I saw doing it, and I was like,
yeah.
I could do that. Like, not that well right now, but I could do that.
So, did you find yourself doing like more of it? And was it the kind of thing
I did start dabbling with it more and more, and then I really, really pushed for that particular like mixing styles once I got to Powerline. I think that's where I'm kind of trying to get everything more in that direction.
So, I was going to ask you: is it because of the shop that you're working? Because there comes a point where, from what I would imagine, is the fact that you're in a shop, you've been living in Rhode Island for how long now?
I still live in Massachusetts, but I'm working.
But you've been working
there since December.
Oh, it's only been since December?
Yeah.
I didn't fucking know that.
Yeah,
I thought you'd been there for a couple of years.
Nope.
Holy shit! I didn't realize that. Oh, good on you. So my point being is you can master a lot of different styles. So it's been less than a year, and you're now really starting to sit back and go, I feel comfortable where you're at, and you know where you're going to go.
I when I first got to that shop, I was definitely second guessing myself. Like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Right.
Like, these guys are fucking. Like, I felt like I was walking amongst giants. You know what I mean? Not to like, I don't know, fucking talk about my own shop like that, but
no, but I mean,
it was so inspiring to be there and just be like I'm here with these guys, which is fucking crazy. Because every time I go to conventions, I'm like looking at them like. I want to be there. Like, I want to be at that shop. That looks so, like, it looks fun. They all work well together. They all hang out together, and they all just do killer work. And I just wanted to be there.
Nice. So you said the camaraderie there is pretty solid.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you approach them, or did they know who you were?
They knew who I was because I used to work with Andre. The kid that's there now. He used to work at Pleasure and Pain with me. He did his apprenticeship when I was there.
Oh, he's how long?
This fucking kid.
How long has he been tattooing?
About 7-8 years.
Cocksucker.
Yeah, dude. So my first day meeting this kid, he hasn't even really officially started his apprenticeship yet. I walk in to talk to Jeff for my interview, and he's sitting in there tattooing on a fake skin. He's doing a perfect portrait of Jon Snow. I was like, this motherfucker ain't even tattooing people yet. This is fucking absolutely crazy.
So, if you don't mind me asking, or if you know, I should say, how long was he in the country for? And was he one of these Eastern Europeans that kind of had that like classical upbringing, classical training in art?
Honestly, not 100% sure. No. I'm pretty sure he moved here when he was a child with his mom. But I'm not sure exactly.
I'd be interested because it's amazing how many of these Eastern Europeans, like Polish, like the people from Poland, people from Russia, people from like Ukraine, like, and again, I don't want to act like, oh, it's all the training when they were kids and whatever. Right. But it just seems like these cats are just like, they just soak this shit up.
It's wild.
A lot of Italians, like I know a lot of people that are just, that are classically trained as artists. You know what I mean? They know how to work in a lot of different mediums. So to them, the tattoo machine is just another tool for them to kind of master.
Just another medium, for sure.
It's funny. Like, what are your thoughts on the fact that, like, so for me, getting into the business, like, I did kind of look at tattooing as this is a tool that you need to learn how it works.
Yeah.
But, coming up in the business in the early 90s, you were told that, no, this is how it's got to go. Like, you have to do it this way.
It was very... Yeah, like you couldn't really bend or break the rules at that time. I feel like nobody was really even open to letting you even think about it. Right. From where I was anyway.
Exactly. I mean, for me, it was the palette. that set me apart. And the fact that I was an airbrush artist. So for me, it wasn't like, we never thought about doing whip shading. We never thought about textures. You never really thought. To me, it was like, oh no, this is how I would do it on paper.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it like this, but with an outline. So I'll have a nice crisp outline. And because I was into comics and cartooning, Warner Brothers cartoons, I like the thick and thin lines and stuff like that. So I tried to make everything look like it was done with a brush, but everything that was colored inside had to look like it was done with an airbrush. So that was, I think, what kind of put me on the map back then. Yeah. Now you're getting into it, you're being taught traditionally, but a lot of the kids coming into the business now have that. First of all, they're being brought in by people who don't give a fuck about tradition. You know what I mean? And these kids are young and they're talented, so they're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it sounds scary, but honestly, it's opened many doors for us recently. I feel like the whole industry has moved in a very crazy direction the last few years.
Yeah.
Which has been cool to watch.
Well, how do you feel about that? Like, what are your, like, I mean...
I have my days where I'm okay with it.
Yeah, okay.
Some days I'm just a grumpy old man. I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard because it's like when you sit back and you think about what we're being forced. So what was the first time you had to do lettering that you felt was entirely no fucking way should this be done? It's I have to do, you know, it's got to be done too fucking small, and then 3 of the letters have to be done in red.
On their fucking heel.
Exactly. So when was the first time that you felt like, okay, it's a fucking paycheck, sit down, I'm fucking doing the tattoo?
I don't think I've ever done that.
You've never? No,
I've never just taken a tattoo because it's a paycheck.
Good for you. You suck, but good for you.
No, I'm really persuasive.
I've got that. No, I'll give you that, but there also does come a point where it's like there's no getting around it.
Sometimes, but they're not my client anymore. Yeah. You know, I'll drop a client before I do a tattoo.
And where you're working, they're okay with that.
But I'll recommend them to somebody else.
To one of the other
guys. I know a guy that'll do it. But it ain't gonna be me.
So that is one of the things. Like, I think here it gets to a point where like certain guys in the shop will do anything, and you just simply say, okay, cool, go to him.
Yeah.
But then it does get to a point where it's like, well, I haven't worked all week, so fuck it, sit down.
Look, I don't mind doing script. I don't mind doing whatever. I'll take small little tattoos. I'm not above it.
No, I'm not saying that.
I'm just
saying that
if I think
it's going to affect
the quality of the tattoo overall, or it's not going to age correctly, I'm not going to do it.
Because I came in at a time, and I'm sure you did as well. I know you did as well. That when the person came in, your job was education.
Yes.
Your job is to simply say, no, you shouldn't do it this way because of this, that, and the other thing.
Actually, I'm still very
I am too, but we also live in a day and age where if you don't do it, they're literally gonna leave this shop, and there's 9 other shops that are hungry to do it.
That's fine.
So I get it, but so as a shop owner,
but when it heals and it looks like shit, and they're at a bar showing 50 other people, and they're like, "Oh, that's fucked. Where'd you get that?" You don't want to.
So I'll get that. I understand that, but I also realize that most people don't give a fuck.
No, well, I give a fuck.
And then, I get it. No, that's what I'm saying. We give a fuck, but I don't think the clients.
Some people don't. Some of the clients don't care either.
No, dude, they think
that
it's
all
amazing.
Day long why it ain't gonna work.
I mean, how often have you done a tattoo? And I'm not putting you on the spot, but I know I've done tattoos that I was less than happy with the way they healed up, and these 100%. People come in like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And you're like, dude, you need you gotta stop showing that shit off. Just come in next week. Let me redo that thing. You know, I mean, that happens. We all live in that. You know, whether it be because we did a poor job or the client just did a shit job.
We have bad days too, man.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully our bad days aren't that bad.
Yeah. So considering what you're being asked to do, like on the fly, do you have a pretty easy time making those adjustments and like making this?
Usually, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I always just find communication with the client is fucking key. Always.
Key. Yeah.
Talk to them and explain to them why it's not going to work.
Right.
They'll generally listen. If they don't, it's okay to let it go. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's hard because, I mean, again, you're in a different situation than, say, myself, a shop owner,
right.
Where you sit back.
I'm not living paycheck to paycheck like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if I was, I get it. I understand it. But it still hurts my soul.
but not for nothing. It is good to hear that because I think a lot of people don't have that. They don't even have a preconceived notion of that. Right. You know, I mean, a lot of cats come in now and they're just like, "What the fuck are you complaining about? You just do whatever comes through the fucking door." Or why would you complain about doing this tiny little micro thing? But in the back of my mind, every time I see those little bitty tattoos, and even when you see them healed, and they're only like 2 months old, and they're like, "Oh, this is healed. This is how it healed," and I'm like, "All right, show me that tattoo in 4 fucking years, man.
Exactly.
Like, I want to see that. I don't
just
want to see
exactly. Just like you gave it the 2 weeks or the month to like let it heal, but that doesn't mean it's done aging.
Right, aging. So I did see recently a guy I tattooed, and I did big, bold stuff, and he's got a piece on his arm. It's a little lion head. And what blew my mind was all the stipple shading that he had done. It's all type 3, it's really clean. It's a little bit light. Tattoo was 4 or 5 years old, like minimum 4 or 5 years old. It still looked really nice. Yeah. But the solid lines that there were certain lines that were like framing the piece out. Those were so fucking janky.
Really?
So you look at this beautiful lion head that's aging well. I mean, the fact of the matter is when it ages, it's just going to fade.
Yeah.
It's not going to, I don't think it's going to blow out except for these fucking lines. Yeah. And the first thing I asked him was like, who did the line work on this? He goes, oh, he did those too. And I'm like I was blown away by it. I'm like, dude, you got this really soft stipple shaded piece. And then you got these janky fucking lines around it. I'm like, what the fuck? But you can tell like the amount of, just the styles in which he was working where dragging a double, like instead of taking a single, like a loose 5 or tight 7, it looks like he might have doubled up a tight 5.
Gotcha.
As opposed to just going in with this. But that's where you look at it from the perspective of it's like, so it's a good chance that you didn't know how the other one was going to age as well.
Right.
And now you're dealing with these two different styles of tattooing aging dramatically different.
That's pretty crazy.
It's weird because, but I mean, from your perspective, do you not see that? That's like we're going to be dealing with a lot of people coming in with wannabe cover-ups to be like...
I don't know. I mean, I always make sure there's enough black so it doesn't fade out. You know what I mean? My line work's solid. I was a traditional guy. You know what I mean? I don't see him going anywhere. I do what I can to make sure that it's going to age properly.
Nice.
But everybody also heals different and ages different. Everybody's skin's different. So
right.
Never really know.
So we were talking before about color realism or realism in general. Like, how are you using AI or down that fucking?
I have ChatGPT and Midjourney, but I don't really use them that much.
I've tried.
I have tried. The guys I work with, they're really good at it, especially Midjourney. They just go in there and they highlight what they want, give it a little prompt, and then
fuck, I wish.
And I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I sit down and
I'm like, I feel like it would take me less time to paint the fucking thing.
Thank you. That's exactly how I look at it. But you know the funny thing about that is it's exactly how I felt when I picked up the iPad. Yeah. So I got to a point where I hated drawing on the fucking iPad. So when I'd go to conventions and I know when it started, I had a few months where I was going to be in Europe.
Yeah.
So I went out and bought a Brother printer with the battery packs and stuff on it.
Yeah.
I bought my iPad and I went out there and my intention was I'm going to draw in the sketchbook. I'm going to photograph it. I'm going to do my lines on the fucking iPad because at least I'm capable of doing that. But drawing in the iPad was impossible for me. Yeah. And then I'm going to fucking print my lines. This way, in Europe especially, have you worked shows in Europe?
I have not.
Dude, the fucking line to get it. First of all, you're lucky if they have a fucking printer. Okay?
Really?
Well, now not so much, but like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, you're lucky if there was a printer there. 9 times out of 10, you were making hand stencils in your booth. Yeah. Which again, I'm not against.
Not about that either.
But again, I'm not against it. But if you can get somebody there with a printer and a thermofax, it makes your life a lot easier. Sure. Especially back then, like in '97 through 2008. I'm going to Europe 2 times a year. It's like, dude, back then we weren't doing 1 tattoo a day. Right. You're doing 2 to 3 tattoos a day, and that's
my standard day. That's my standard day at work.
Oh, that's killer.
2 to 3 tattoos a day.
Yeah. Now I'm like 1 or 2, 1 or 2, depending, because usually 1 is big and 1's going to be small. So.
Yeah.
But back then, it's like, so I picked up the iPad then strictly for that, and then eventually I got to a point where it's just easier to do everything on the iPad. But I do find myself knowing full well my style of drawing is completely different with a pencil.
Oh, for sure.
Than it is with like it's almost like I'm aping my own style on the iPad as opposed to doing it with a pencil.
Okay. I could see that.
Like, do you notice that? Do you feel that yourself?
I could feel that. I could see that for sure. I feel like, I don't know, when I first got the iPad, I didn't put it down. I didn't hesitate with that thing at all. That was the one thing, even though everything else, though, I'm so technologically retarded. I can't figure out anything.
Oh, I mean, so that's how I feel about Midjourney. Like, I've tried, I've sat down, I've put in the fucking prompts, I've done all the stupid shit.
I'm still
and when it comes up, it just looks boring as fuck.
Yeah.
And you sit there and it's just like, I'm just going to find a reference.
Yeah.
I'm going to redraw that reference, and then it's going to look like I did it, as opposed to redrawing it from Midjourney. Because I think even if I was good at Midjourney, I would still be redrawing everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like the references that I pulled for your tattoo for tomorrow, they're from everything. They're from real life. They're from fucking, photographs. They're from all kinds of stuff. And then you sit down and you redraw everything your way.
Exactly.
So while you're still pulling references from AI, from real life, from whatever, you're still basically, everything's got my thumbprint on it for the most part. Right. And when I line it, it'll even be more so.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So.
I could tell you drew it.
Well, that's a good thing.
That's exactly what I wanted, man.
I've actually pulled back. It's funny because, and I don't know if you find yourself with this, because so while you technically do have a style, I don't think you have a style that stands, and this isn't an insult or anything, but I don't think your style is such a thing that you sit back and I think people are coming out to you because of the one thing you do.
Not really. I have people that come to me specifically for traditional. I have people that come to me specifically for black and gray realism. I have specifically for Japanese. It's literally every fucking... Right. And I don't even understand how it started or how it got here. I know how it started. I don't know how it fucking got here.
Well, I think that's your clients. I don't think you have much of... After a certain point, you don't have a say. No. Your clients pretty much run the boat.
Absolutely.
So... because with your Japanese, you definitely have a bit of a style in the sense that it's not uber traditional.
It's not traditional Japanese.
Right.
You're getting my version of Japanese. And
right.
I make that very clear whenever they come.
You've never gotten called out on that yet, have you?
I make it clear before we get started, man. I don't know what else.
Well, it's not all that. I'm talking about like when you so the first time I went to Japan, and people are like, "Oh, Joe, koi fish on my arm." I'm like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "I don't do koi fish." I mean, I can do it. But it ain't going to be fucking traditional. Right. And they're like, no, Joe style. Like, that was the big thing.
That's
everything was Joe
cool,
style.
Though.
It is cool. The problem is, if you have, I don't want to say respect. It's more out of the sense of, like, acknowledging the amazing talent that is uber traditional Japanese.
Yeah.
Also, the history of that. You know what I mean? You don't, and I'm of the firm believer. I ain't Japanese. I'm not going to do it that way. Right. There are people here that will do it, like
For
Chris
sure.
Trevino.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's an amazing, Japanese traditional guy. Yes. But to me, it's like, yeah, that's not what I signed up for. So if you want that from me, I'm the guy with the Google. I'm the one who I was probably up there the first 6 months where they put fucking eyelashes on a fucking koi. Like, we were the ones that bastardized the koi fish. Right. I was from that generation. But there does come a point after several years of that where you sit back and you admire the fuck out of what it is to be a traditional Japanese artist. You admire the fuck out of what it is to be a traditional Americana artist. Like, that's why even today, like, I find myself pulling back from how I would do it, especially American traditional. You know what I mean? Like, instead of going, great. It's so hard for me to leave skin.
Yeah.
Where I'm just kind of like, no,
like
we can go to white. There's one more tone of that yellow I can go to. But I find myself trying to pull back so that it will look more trad.
So that's why when I design traditional tattoos, I still use watercolor, because that is the truest you're gonna get to a medium that's as close, that's as close as you're gonna get to being a traditional.
So when you're tattooing, are you thinking of it from that perspective? Like, this is how this is how the brush lands.
Exactly.
That's solid. I mean, again, I've never taken it from that perspective.
But then if I'm doing realism, I start to think about like how would I paint it with acrylics or oils? You know what I mean? Like it just varies always.
So now when you're doing realism in the sense of like how many tattoo rules are you taking into your black and gray realism or your color realism? Like, in other words, are you basically throwing all of the tattoo rules away and just trying to make it look as realistic as possible?
I was.
Or you were doing that?
I'm not doing that anymore. Like I said, I'm trying to mash up styles a little bit. So what I'll do now is I'll kind of just take like little pieces of some realism things that I like, and what could I do with this? And I'll start putting some neo-trad around it. If I don't like that, maybe we'll switch it. Maybe these a little bit Japanese instead. Maybe that would look better. And that's kind of where I'm at today. I
love that style, to be honest with you, man. Like, so DJ Tambe is somebody I've known for many years, and he basically took a lot of what oh my God, you just named him before. Holy shit. the first mosh-up guy we talked about.
Yogi.
The Yogi. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, my brain is shot. But he took Yogi's stuff. He was like, it's a similar thing, but it's like fucking uber hyper realistic and uber flat. You know what I mean? Where Yogi, I think, did more in the way of traditional tattoos with like a skull with like, you know, like a traditional skull with. Like,
I feel like he's doing more neo-trad with his realism now.
Yeah.
It was more traditional. I feel like he's headed more neo, which I personally think looks better with realism.
The neo-trad?
Yeah.
I think it lends itself more.
Just straight traditional looks better with black and gray realism, I think.
I agree with that. You know, I like
still get your skin breaks, you know what I mean?
Right.
So when you have the neo-trad with the realism, it's fully saturated.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What I think I like about the DJ Tambe stuff is the fact that he's using a lot of cartoons, which are fully saturated images. There's no skin breaks.
Nope.
If it's the Pink Panther, it's fucking pink.
pink.
You know what I mean? I think I would still have a hard time doing a solid field of pink. I would still want that one gradation for me personally, because anytime I do stuff,
I'd still try to add a shadow or something.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because I remember growing up with Warner Brothers cartoons, and I remember when they made that switch in probably the late 90s into 2000, where everything was going from the original 70s and 80s Warner Brothers cartoons to like all the newer stuff, and they had everything had that but everything had that weird gradation in it, and I remember being like, that's not the fucking those aren't Warner Brothers, dude. It's not the same. You know what I mean? So, but that's how I would do it. But I hated it when it was in the cartoons. But on skin, I'm like, no, it's got to have the gradations in it and stuff.
I understand.
So it's like that asinine way of thinking that's just like, it's not traditional, but this is how I like it.
Right.
You know? So, but
I don't know. I think you're an artist, man. Just be yourself.
Well, I think so. How much do you think that's lost now? I mean, how many people are coming down the pipe that you look at and you go, dude, this guy fucking stands out, and this guy's amazing, but how many of it is it just people just aping other people's style, and they're just.
It's hard because with social media the way it is, it's like a lot of the guys that should be standing out, they get buried because of the algorithm. You know what I mean? And then you get people that their tattoos are absolute shit, but their videos are funny. You know, so then everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking social media is a stupid game that I don't want to play, that I'm stuck playing.
So,
I feel like.
Do you think there's any hope? And this is we're shooting for the fences here. But what you're saying is, it all comes back down to education. You know what I mean? People need to stop listening to this and start thinking for themselves. Yeah. And in all honesty, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that we're at the whim of...
Everybody's too worried about what everybody else is doing.
And what other people think.
Yeah, exactly.
And what other people think.
That's.
I think that it's a lot of times when people come in and they ask you for one thing, and you go, okay, cool, and then you go out of your way to find 3 other versions of that.
Right.
And then you show them those versions, they go, oh, no, but I want this one. I'm like, yeah, I understand that, but this one's been done a million fucking times.
Right.
I don't want to do that. I drew this one from you based off of this, or I took a different piece of reference that's been used slightly.
Tell me what you like about it, and I will use that in my own drawing.
Okay, now how many of those people that you tell that to, they walk away because they simply don't want to think?
Almost never anymore.
Good for you.
Back in the day, all the time, but I wasn't as trusted by my clients as I am today.
So it's not. So you're not getting the person right out
it's
the
hardly,
gate.
People don't come to me if they don't know who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not just getting walk-ins off the street anymore.
Okay.
So.
See, these are important things, because I think that you saying that, because a lot of times when people say that, they don't explain to anybody. They know that's just the way I do things, and if they don't like it, they can fuck. No, it took you 5 years to fucking grow that. Right. Although technically with you've only been growing it since December, so fuck off. You're that guy. But that is a thing. Like, a lot of people do tell you, no, it's my way, the highway. But they don't tell you it took them 5 years to build up a clientele to be able to do that.
Right, of course.
So that's an important thing that I think needs to be
explained. You got to get the trust from your clients, man. If you want them to trust you, you know what I mean? You have to explain what you're thinking.
Right.
Why is this not going to work for me?
Right.
Why would this not work for you?
Right.
You don't even understand yet why this is not going to work for you.
Yeah, because a lot of times I think that, when we say, you need to educate the client, you need to let them know how things need to be done or how things should be done, whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if there's no trust there in the first place, if they don't know you from fucking Adam,
that's exactly
because they literally will go to another shop and they will tell them the exact fucking opposite and get them in the chair that afternoon.
Yeah.
And that therein lies the problem, is the patience is gone.
You can kind of tell when a client's going to be a problem before they even get started.
I agree with that, yeah.
When they walk in, the biggest red flag for me is when they walk in, they're already bitching about the last fucking 2 shops they were at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, maybe it's not the artist that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, but how many people understand that? Like, how, again, and this isn't...
I'm nice about it. I take the long way around to get them out of the shop. Like, I'm not direct being like, this ain't going to work. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll sit there and listen to them and be like, I just don't think I'm the right guy.
You try to make it... You try to make
course.
your point known. You try to educate them in the way things should be done.
Exactly. Education.
Yeah, exactly. So, so what do you got? What's on your immediate future? Like, what do you said you're doing the Boston convention?
Yep, I'm doing Boston.
This might actually come out. This will air on Wednesday, so the Boston convention's Friday, so it might actually air. So he'll be in Boston.
Yeah, I was supposed to do a seminar for that, but we're pushing it out till next year.
Oh, so you are.
I've been moving.
So you're doing some educational stuff.
Yeah.
So what exactly are you doing?
Actually, this course, a lot of it is communication with the client.
Oh, good. Again, I think that's
literally
an important
what we were just talking about. It's not the whole class, but that is like a good portion of the very beginning of it.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? I mean, granted, you don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to talking down on it because you're about to do a seminar. But what are your thoughts on the amount of all this educational stuff? Like, I like doing at conventions.
Yeah.
The weekenders that are happening and like getting 30 people together in Texas and charging them $2,800 for.
I was going to keep my class down to 5 people. I'm not taking any more than that. Yeah, because I want everybody to be able to communicate with me and talk and have questions and answer, and for me to answer their questions.
Right.
And I don't know. I felt like any more than that, I feel like they wouldn't have got their money's worth. Even though I'm not even charging.
How long of you're not charging?
I am charging, just not
charging.
that much.
Not that much.
I still had people donating supplies and stuff like that, and also the time that I am putting in, taking away from the convention. I still had to make some money.
No, that's understandable.
I would have made less money doing that than if I was tattooing.
We started doing seminars back in and then when I say we, I'm not talking about we as in I'm not some nut job. Like when I mean we, I mean like Eric Merrill, myself, there was a shit ton of people back in the day doing seminars. Yeah. We would do like $125, $150, and we'd have a sit down and we'd talk, and you'd have a slideshow maybe, you'd have booklets you handed out, whatever. Yeah. But it was more conversation. Right. Eric Merrill from here was one of the first people that actually, I was mad at him when he did this because when I said to him, I was like, dude, what are you doing for your fucking seminar? He wasn't prepared at all. Oh, and he's just like, oh yeah, dude, I'm going to tattoo that top of that guy's thigh. I'm going to have everybody stand around me, and I'm just going to walk him through a tattoo. And I remember being so fucking angry because I was just like, dude, that's fucking ingenious.
That's half my class, bro.
but that's fucking smart. With the exception of if you had them tattooing as well, which now people
so it was
doing.
A 2-day seminar.
Oh, it is 2 days.
So Saturday was my whole spiel in the beginning, run through my slideshow, give them the books, give them the samples of everything that I use. And then they watch me tattoo.
Okay.
And while I'm doing the tattoo, they're more than welcome to ask questions. I'm going to be explaining what I can, what I'm thinking.
Right.
But obviously, I don't know what questions they have, so that's why I only wanted 5 people, so that everybody gets the time to ask the questions that they want.
So are you already full up on this seminar?
I actually didn't have anybody really signed up. I had a lot of people asking me about it, but nobody really signed up yet. So I didn't feel bad about canceling it for now.
Okay. Well, no. So what I'll do is, again, it's not like we have a huge reach, but. I'll put all the information in the description of the video, so make sure I get that from you before. But yeah, like watching somebody tattoo, like Nico did it at the Black Anchor Academy, and I helped him with that. This was 4 years ago, I think, maybe, in California, at the Golden State. And they gave everybody skins, and everybody, I think they brought their machines, and then
so that would have been day 2.
Okay.
I would have. We were going to put the design together, like us as a group, right. And then they all tattoo it on the fake skin, and then.
The way him and I did it.
You're going to have different questions tattooing rather than watching me tattoo. Right. You know what I mean? So
the way him and I did it basically was I drew the image, and then he was going to show people how he would tattoo it. How he would approach it as a tattoo. So he was tattooing, I was tattooing, and everybody else was tattooing, and then we just kind of walked around and basically was like, no, don't do that, And there was a couple of guys there. I'm not going to name names, but watching them tattoo with like a fucking, it's like, yeah, sometimes you can use the pen like a brush, and I'm like, I got a group of guys around me. I'm like, yeah, don't ever fucking do that. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Exactly. That's a guy who's basically, I'm not even going to get into it.
It's all right.
It's a lot of dumb shit right there. And anybody who knows probably knows what I'm talking about, and I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to burn that bridge just yet. But yeah, that's killer. So the education part of it is something you feel I mean, you obviously feel strong enough about it that you're not looking to fucking score monetarily because you only do
no.
people.
Like I said, I was losing. I would have lost money doing the seminar rather than tattooing.
But it's something you feel strong enough.
I do because I feel like in order to educate the clients, we need to educate the artists. They're supposed to be educating the clients.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, how much of it, so how much do you think that the role we find ourselves in now, or the position we find ourselves in now, is just the lack of really giving a shit where this is going to end up? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I feel like most tattooers I see don't actually give a shit.
I think it's just I don't want to say it's just a paycheck because I think deep down,
to a lot of them it is. It's a job.
So do you think that do you think it's a job, or do you think that they're so delusional that they just think that this is just the way it is?
What I can tell you is there's always going to be people like that, and there's always going to be clients for them.
I mean,
we need them.
I would go as far as
to say
we need them
to keep those clients out of our shops.
Dude, that's all there is anymore.
I call them bottom feeders.
What, the clients or the tattooers?
The artists, yeah. You're taking the clients that nobody else wants to deal with.
Yeah, but that's how the microrealism.
So they don't care. The client doesn't care.
But that's how the microrealism. The first thing when I read that, like when this one cat, I forgot where.
Microrealism.
Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But literally, the guy was just like, "Oh, nobody in the shop will do it because he's in a trad shop." And he looked at us like,
nobody would do it.
Well, I can fucking do it, but fuck it. Like, oh yeah, I'll do that. $600 for fucking 10 minutes worth of work.
That's crazy.
And before you know it, it took the fuck off. So now, but keep in mind, someone who knows what they're doing, a tattoo this fucking big should not take 5 fucking hours.
No.
Like, that baffles the fucking mind. And again, I don't know.
You should be able to outline a whole sleeve at least in 5 hours.
Fuck yeah. but how infuriating do you find? Like, it's not. I don't think everybody who goes at a tattoo this fucking big and spends 8 fucking hours is going at it with the thought that they're trying to make as much money as possible. How much of it is just the lack of any fucking knowledge on how they should be tattooing?
They got into tattooing because it was supposed to be cool. That's literally it. That's the
how
only
you feel
reason. Yeah, they did it because it was supposed to be cool, and now they're just fucking ripping people off.
That's going to light posts up.
They wanted to.
Because people are not going to see it from that perspective.
It's not my dick, too.
But that's a legit thing. I think that not many people say that. And I think that when you do, and the nice thing is you're fucking, not half my age, but you're a lot younger than I am. Coming out of your fucking mouth is different than when it comes out of my mouth.
Right.
Like when I call people out and be like, that's fucking ridiculous. Why the fuck would you spend 8 hours on a tattoo that's fucking big?
It's great.
And you look at it as like, what are you talking about? That's how long it takes.
No.
Fuck you. Like anybody at Ink Magazine is fucking,
There's no way you didn't overwork something.
So how much of it is like? How often do you see those tattoos healed? I never see them in person.
I never do. Actually, you never see them post-healed pictures either.
Right. Even the tattoos that people spend 3 days under fucking anesthesia.
I've seen a few that I've covered. You
have.
But yeah.
So why aren't you taking photos of those pictures and get them out there?
I do. I'll post them on my story.
Yeah, but you need to get those out there because I think that's one of the things that this business is lacking. It's lacking transparency. And again, it might be transparency out of gossip.
Yeah. Well,
it might be transparency out of gossip, which is probably the wrong reason to do it. But fuck, that would light the internet up.
See, I feel like a lot of clients think that we all tell them no because we're just being lazy and we don't want to do it.
Well, no. The worst part about that is because in the world that we live in, with all the derision that's happening right now, the client doesn't even have to think that. It's every tattooer who does stuff in that style, or that person's just being a fucking rock star. That person's just being an old fart and doesn't want to deal with it. They're fucking lying. Like, we're telling them, we're being truthful.
This is the only way I can look at it without being upset about the whole fucking situation. Is I feel like those kind of people and what we do, we don't even have the same job. We're not doing the same job.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
We're just totally different. You stay the fuck over there, I'll be over there.
But the problem being is we all swim in the same fucking pool. And if Pigpen comes rolling in and he's shitting up the whole fucking pool,
it's got to be a bigger shark, I guess.
Oh God, it just kills me, man. It just sucks. It just sucks.
I don't know, man. It's just nature of the beast, I guess.
Well, is there anything else in particular? Like we were talking about, like you got this seminar coming up. I'm gonna list that. What other conventions you got lined up before the end of the year?
I'm going to All Stars in Miami, November.
Okay.
Tommy's in Connecticut.
Oh, in October?
You gonna be that one?
Fuck no.
Damn it.
I got nothing good to say about this. No,
Just swing by for a drink.
I do. So Adam's been. You've gone almost every single one for a day. The March, which is from what I understand, is a better show. I did it. I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say it. I don't like the quality of clientele through the fucking door. And what I mean by that is...
because it's a casino?
First of all, I fucking hate casinos. I hate fucking concrete fucking floors. It is a soulless environment to run a convention in. But it's also people coming in like, dude, back in my day... God, that sounded old. But back in my day, when you put a sign in your booth that said $75 an hour, the promoter came up and said, either pull that sign down right fucking now or get the fuck out of the shop. Get the fuck out of off the floor. When you've got people openly cutting other people's throats on the convention floor, it's bullshit. Like, you had people literally like $50 tattoos. I'm like, no, go fuck yourself. There should be a lot. There should be a fucking bar.
It's a $50 get what you get. You ever see that shit where they blindfold their fucking clients and they stick?
Oh, that fucking broad down in fucking Arizona. Fuck that asshole.
That's absolutely crazy. What a gimmick, bro.
But the crazy thing is, she's still got people getting tattooed, and I'd say the majority of them are okay with it. Like the crap that they walk out with. Well, then they got what they fucking deserve. Well, but that's and that's kind of what I mean by the quality of client. When you're going in there and you're coming up like so. When the only time I've done the Mohegan Sun show, I'm pretty certain it's the only because I did the Hartford ones. The only time I did that was on Friday. I just wanted to do fun stuff. I had Flash out there, but people are coming up with their phones. By 3 o'clock, I think, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Jimmy hadn't come into town yet. His flights got delayed, and he didn't show up till like the next day. So I'm sitting there around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'm like, dude, if you don't start talking to clients and start taking whatever's coming to you, you're going to crack a bottle of whiskey, and then the night is just going to be fucked. You're going to be an asshole for the rest of the evening. So the first person, these 3 young women come up, and they were like, hey, we want to get this. And I'm like, cool. And they looked at it, and I was like, okay, no problem, $200 minimum. Yeah. And immediately turned around and walked away. Didn't even say fucking no thank you, just left.
I like Tommy's, but I always book myself for that one.
So here's my problem. So this is my problem with conventions today. I came from a time where you didn't book before you got there. Now I realize
if I'm traveling.
No, but now's the thing. Now you have no choice. Right. Like now, I book at least. I try to book one for Friday and one for Saturday. Yeah. I try to leave Sunday open, and I definitely try to leave the later parts of Friday and Saturday available for walk-ups.
Fair enough.
Now I did that for Hell City a year and a half ago. It was phenomenal. I did walk-ups all 3 days. I did it this year and did nothing on Sunday at all. So it was one of those things. It's like, what the fuck? Like just the way it was. And Tommy's was the same fucking thing. I did end up doing walk-ups because I had no appointments booked. Yeah. But it was like, tattoos is fucking big. And it's like, I think I did 3 tattoos on between Saturday and Sunday. I did nothing on Friday. Because everybody who came up to the booth was like $200. Oh, no, that's not true. I did a spider on a kid on the ditch of his arm. It was about that big, black and gray. Yeah. Military kid. And I literally was just like, he's like, yeah, I want to do like a spider. I want to fill up the inside of my arm. I'm like, cool, $200 minimum. I don't imagine it'll take me more than $200 worth of work. Right. And he's like, okay. I expected him to be fucking off. And I'm like, cool, man. Give me 15 minutes to set up. Came in, drew it on him, tattooed him. That was the only thing I did on Friday. Perfect. So that's my problem with that show, which is why I don't really want to do it. Gotcha. And again, dude, it's just, I think my problem is I can't erase 25 years of doing conventions. Almost 30 years of doing conventions.
Yeah, that's fair,
and knowing how good it used to be.
See, I never got to see it.
So, but that's why I think that people are okay with putting up with shit. Because they just don't know. Dude, I came from a day, and I understand it's 30 years ago, but $250 for a booth. Convention hotels, the rate was $75 to $80 a night for a hotel.
Before you even start a convention, you're already fucking $2,000 in the hole.
Easily.
It's crazy.
Depending on where you are. I mean, if you're at Hell City, that and parking. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's an insane amount of money. And the thing is, I don't think the recognition going to a convention gets you what it used to.
No.
Like winning an award at Hell City, it's a handful of people are going to recognize it, but a bunch of people are going to be like, yeah, congratulations.
By
Philly,
by the end of the week, they're not even know your fucking name.
Eight awards given, 8 fucking, so everybody walks away with an award. Like, what the absolute fuck? Yeah.
That's a show I'll never fucking do again.
Never.
Philly.
Dude, I don't like any of the Villain Art shows. It's just like,
I'm not a huge fan. I'll go to them once in a while if I'm invited, but
Right.
I don't go out of my way to go to them.
Yeah.
Nothing against
I think
them.
again,
It's just not my
they're
style.
soulless. They're soulless. I think there's
Cookie
more
cutter
shows,
shit, yeah.
huh?
It's cookie cutter shit.
Yeah, well, as I'm saying, there's more shows that are coming up that are smaller, and these are the shows that I'm doing. Like I've got, and they're all out of obligation.
Yeah.
So at the end of this month, we just did a show in Lenore, North Carolina, very small, 50 artists, but it's a great show. And they cook you breakfast, they make dinner every night, big group meals, I'm doing a show in Hagerstown, Maryland, the last weekend of this month. The Appalachian Show, the Great Appalachian Show. Again, I know for a fact that it's a very small show, very similar to the one I just did in North Carolina. I'm doing it because I've got a bunch of friends there, and they're good people, which is why I'm doing it. Doing the Brooklyn Convention, first weekend of fucking October. It's Tony Rommel's show from Tattoo Society magazine. I've known Tony since I got into the business. Literally, I've known him since I got into the business. I want to see this show succeed. I want to see, and I know he's got a bunch of stuff against him right now because of, you've got, and I'm just going to say it, fuck it. From what I understand, there's another show in New York, the Empire State Show, and I guess they're putting a lot of fucking pressure on a lot of his clients, or a lot of his attendees, and they're just like, hey, if you do Tony's show, you're not coming to our show. And not for nothing, I come from a time where, if you did one show, you didn't get to do another show. But if you're thinking that way nowadays, go fuck yourself, because you're living in a fucking sandbox, because it's a much bigger world than that. And he's also dealing with shit with the immigration right now, because you get a lot of European. I mean, Tattoo Society, I would go as far as to say 3/4 of the stuff they're publishing is from overseas. And we live in a day and age where motherfuckers are afraid to come into this country. So that's kind of stacked up against him. But I want to see that motherfucker succeed. I want to see that show.
I do prefer a small show. Yeah. Like I said, I'd like to just go hang out with my friends that also tattoo. And, I think we just did Providence. It was their first year doing it.
How was? I heard it was dead.
It actually wasn't terrible, man.
Wasn't terrible?
No, like I said, I booked myself up before I got there, but I had fun. I had a great show. Left with 12 trophies, which is fucking ridiculous.
Nice. Jesus Christ.
So stupid, bro.
I don't get the trophy thing. Like when I left New Hampshire, I had a bunch of trophies in a box that would literally, when I left New York, they sat in a box in the back room.
I have a fucking pile on my floor in my booth.
Dude, I had a pile to be thrown in the dumpster, and Julio and Eric were like, "What are you doing with these?" And I'm like, "Oh, there's dumpster outside."
Firewood.
And they're just like, "You can't. We have to go through." And then I was going to Darkside, so they took all those trophies and hung them up at Darkside. And I'm like, so when I left Darkside, they all stayed.
They just kept them.
They all stayed. The only thing I kept, I kept the first magazine article I ever got was with Tattoo Magazine, and I have a couple of awards from Lausanne, Switzerland, because they were cool awards, and it was also like my first trip to Europe and stuff. I mean, so they for me those were meaningful trophies. Right. Was there any trophy that you can think of in the last, I don't know, 10 years that you won that you were just like gunning for, that you wanted to win and had to win?
Yeah, actually, I made a bet with another tattooer because we were in Boston and they only do first place.
Okay.
And me and him both we were doing trad same day. And so traditional was up, obviously. And he made a bet with me. He's like, loser shaves their eyebrow. Like, if one of us wins, the other one shaves their eyebrow. I was like, bet. He shaved his eyebrow.
Oh, good for you, man. That's cool. Well, that's okay. So when I meant that, I meant like, I need to win this award. Not I need to win this award because I'm going to shave my eyebrow.
Keep my eyebrow. What are you talking about?
That's good. Okay, that's a good one. Okay,
that's a good sport about it.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah, fucking. He went around telling everybody we made the bet too. So by the time it was time for judging, even the promoter was like, he called me and him up on stage. He's like, "So what was this bet going on?" Fucking. Nice. There's a barber in the convention, so he's like, "Get over there and get it done, man."
Fuck, good for you. That's killer.
Yeah, that's
crazy. Amazing. That's amazing. Good for you.
I think we got a tattoo of the day with that same tattoo.
Nice.
Which is hard to do at trad. We did it.
Tattoo. For tattoo of the day and fucking. Okay, that's actually true. That's tough. It depends on the. I mean, I've noticed over the years it depends on who's judging. Like also if you get a couple of regulars up there in squares, they're gonna go for the color.
Yeah, when you got a nice trad piece, it doesn't matter how fucking clean it is. You're going up against this beautiful realism tattoo that looks like a fucking painting. Man.
But the thing is, though, I think that's the quality of the judge, because if a judge can look at a tattoo and be like, that fucking traditional tattoo is fucking impeccable.
So now let's talk about how many judges you've seen at conventions that don't know what the fuck they're looking at.
Yeah. One of the things I've noticed judging contests is like the first thing I ask, if it's not for tattoo of the day, but if it's somebody up there for, best color, black and gray, whatever, the first question I always ask somebody is how old's the tattoo? If the tattoo is under 6 months old, I don't give a fuck how good it is. Right. Because at that point, I want to see what and 9 times out of 10, if I say, how old is that tattoo? And they say 7 months, and it looks 8 years old. Right. You go, oh, that tattoo is trash.
Exactly.
That tattoo is trash. But the thing is, when I've had other judges like look at me like, what are you out of your fucking mind? I'm like, dude, that tattoo is 6 fucking months old. It looks years old. Yeah. Like, I know what I'm doing. You don't.
Crazy.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah,
so you're doing. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So you're doing the Tommy show next, and then
we have Boston, All Stars in Miami, and then Tommy's. I think
that's the last of the
Rochester.
Year?
As soon as I get back from Miami, actually the following week.
Oh shit! So you got those shows.
I'll be going from Miami up to New York, and then I get to come home for a couple days.
All right, sweet, very cool. I mean, I was gonna say mine are all back to back too, which is kind of stupid. So
seems to be the only way I travel.
Yeah, I think. Well, you're still pretty young. I mean, it's like, and you're at a time now. It's like strike while the iron's hot. That's exactly how I always looked at it.
Yes.
So, is there anything else you want to touch on before we?
Not that I can think of.
You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Where are we going to dinner, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna, there's some options. All right, let me get this out of the way. Hey, everybody, thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for sitting in. I really appreciate it. Thank you for putting up with this malarkey. Hey, everybody. So again, like and subscribe. Spread the word. Let everybody know that we're still doing this. Stick around for the end because I actually have ending music. Go figure. Finally got it out of my way. Enjoy. See you when I see you. Bye.